You tell me one of your problems, I'll tell you one of mine. At the end of the day, if anyone's left standing, they'll win a prize.
Welcome to episode 59 of the Columbo podcast. Now, I'm going to tell you a problem I've got, Ian.
Oh, well, should I not tell you mine and then see if you're left standing?
What's your prize?
If it blows you away.
No. I'm aware of some of your problems, Ian, and I don't want to think about them any more than is entirely necessary.
Fair enough.
Those creams and ointments.
Yeah, I was going to say it's interesting you should mention that in an episode that features an ex-wife.
Say no more. How are we?
Not too bad, not too bad.
I think you might be thinking that you have been misled when you've heard about the downturn in the standard of the new Columbo.
Absolutely, I'm not too disappointed at all. We've only got 10 episodes left after this one, and they've been of an acceptable standard, I would say. And in fact, some of Peter Falk's better performances, in many cases.
So, we are to assume that you enjoyed this one.
I did.
Again, I think these new episodes are what I would just class as enjoyable. They might not be the deepest, they might have some flaws and some more sort of whimsy, but they're enjoyable to watch. They're fun.
I mean, there's one or two stinkers. You had Malibu, even Guillotine wasn't great, Smoke and Shadows wasn't great.
Okay, stinkers. Let's get this out the way at the moment. Next week. Okay, normally I leave this until the very end, but we have No Time to Die.
That sounds like a quick episode.
I don't want to colour your judgment or cloud your opinion or be presumptuous, but can I just... I'll give you a little bit of information here. Dagger of the Mind had a rating of 7 on IMDb.
Generous.
Commodore, 6.5.
Fair.
Next week we've got a 6.4.
Okay. What did Malibu have?
Don't know. About, maybe 6.5, something like that, 6.6.
So it's a similar level to Commodore and Malibu. Is this one of these ones I've read about or I've been told about a couple where Columbo isn't Columbo, he's a different detective in Columbo costume?
I'm not going to spoil it for you, I'm not going to say anything, but it's a different episode.
Okay, well, I might enjoy it.
You might, yeah. Yep, you could do.
I mean, 6.4, that means that that's a B grade, isn't it? 2-1.
We'll see. We'll leave that until next week.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
It should be an interesting podcast.
Fingers crossed. They all are.
Leaving aside next week's episode, will we proceed in delving into this week's offering?
Why not?
In that case, why don't we hear your summary?
In Death Hits the Jackpot, we meet a unique family group. Freddie Brewer is the nephew of Leon Lamar, a jeweller whose glittering business masks an ongoing financial disaster. Freddie, for his part, is close to finalising his divorce from Nancy, save for a small dispute over debt repayment. When Freddie's lottery numbers come up, he turns to Uncle Leon to claim the prize in an attempt to prevent Nancy claiming a share. Little does he know that Leon and Nancy are romantically involved. Having safely collected the cash, they murder Freddie, staging an accident. Columbo is quickly on the case, despite a lack of evidence that murder has been committed. When inconsistencies start to arrive, he turns to an unusual source of evidence, recruiting a new primate deputy to help finger the culprits.
Thanks for that, Ian. The first note I made after watching this episode, Ian, was that it was drenched in greed, not just with regards to the killer, but also the victim themselves.
I think if this was an animated episode, and they should do an animated Columbo series, that'd be interesting. If this was an animated episode, you would see their eyes rolling and the dollar signs come up on at least half a dozen occasions.
So much nonsense, so much pain, so much death could be avoided if it wasn't just for the greed of many of the protagonists here.
Yeah, if someone could be happy with enough, more than enough.
I'm sure we'll cover that as we get through the episode.
Very quickly.
We start with some gentle music.
Yeah, it's a nice wee tune, and it's not an aerial shot for once.
It's not. Street scene. We see a man who we learn immediately is a Freddie Brewer.
It says in his van.
It does. A photography van.
Yep.
Not sure if photographers need these vans, do they? He's like a TV repairman.
I guess he's got his equipment in there.
Sure. Suppose that van says, rob me. I've got lots of camera equipment in here that So this Freddie arrives at the home of his soon-to-be ex-wife, Nancy.
Yeah, I think the former family home,
Yes.
because he still has a key.
We immediately understand that it's been an acrimonious split. They're not in best of terms, are they?
No.
He wants... I mean, the reason he's there is that he wants the paper signed to finalise.
Yeah, to get the divorce through.
Yep.
He doesn't understand why it's not happened yet. Or I think he does. But he's here to plead ignorance and find out.
And there's a reason that it's not been finalised, and it's to do with paperwork. What is it?
Well, there's a debt. He took on a debt to start his photography business, and he took on that debt just before they got married. But he used it to start a business that supported them during the marriage. So he quite justifiably feels that she should take on responsibility for half of that.
Morally and in the eyes of the law.
I would have thought it's one of those things you can negotiate, obviously, but... And then, on the other hand, you can see from her point of view the strict legal sense, if you're not putting emotion into it, that it was a debt incurred prior to the marriage by him alone. Why should she contribute?
Was it prior to the marriage?
Yes.
Was that confirmed?
It was mentioned. It was shortly prior to the marriage. It gets mentioned during the episode.
Okay. But if he's been using that debt to support their lifestyle, then...
Yes. I would have thought there was a strong case for settlement on that.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, this is the first example of someone being greedy that's got them into trouble.
Well, he's being greedy wanting her to pay the half.
No, she's been greedy. This is...
wanting off with...
not wanting to pay her fair share.
Yes, and that's meant that this is still ongoing at this stage.
Yeah. As they talk, Nancy prepares for a date in the bathroom.
Yes, and Freddie watches the television where the lottery numbers are being drawn.
Mm-hmm. His balls drop, and he has to stifle his delight as he realises that he has won.
He doesn't do a great job of stifling his delight.
No, he's silently fist-pumping and yelping a little bit.
Yeah.
And even later in the scene as he leaves, you can't wait until he's out of ear and eye shot.
It was like Columbo Goes to College, sitting in the car, just outside a window that someone could look out, fist-pumping and dancing.
Yeah. So he does not let on to Nancy that he has won the lottery.
No, but he says he's just going to take her position, pay the debt, and they'll get the papers sorted.
Yeah, it's far too obvious, isn't it? So she walks out, and before she gets into the bathroom, he's looking for this debt to be halved, to be paid by her. She gets into the bathroom, she comes out after hearing him sort of yelp and cheer a little bit. The lottery results are on the TV, and immediately Freddie is saying, yeah, that's cool, let's just forget it. And he leaves and sort of cheers and fist pumps a little bit again.
Yeah, she wouldn't have to be all that bright to figure out what's happened.
At least be suspicious. The victory dance outside is accompanied by a little tune of We're in the Money.
It definitely is. It's not subtle, we'll put it that way.
It's the next morning.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
I'm not convinced.
Why not?
Because there's a note. Do they say something during the scene? I thought it was the next day initially, and I've changed my note because he says, I've been holding onto this ticket since Wednesday night. You wouldn't say that if it was Thursday.
Yes. It makes little difference.
No, it's a day shortly thereafter.
Yeah. And Freddie heads over to his uncle's jeweller's.
Yeah, his uncle is very weird. I mean, the first thing he says in the episode is bizarre. It's like, he's got jewellery showing to a customer, he's saying, touch it, feel it, feel the history. Yeah,
I mean, he's a southern gent.
Yep.
He is Leon Lamar.
That's his name.
Mm-hmm. And he's quite a slimy salesperson, isn't he?
He's certainly trying to charm his customers into a purchase, I would say.
Mm. They decline at this point in time his offer. And just then, one of his employees tells him there's a message from his broker in his office. He goes into his own office, he takes the message, it's a note, and what does he discover?
Oh, woe is him. He is financially destitute. Obviously, this can't be too much of a surprise, but certainly things have got worse than he imagined they were.
He is dead broke, I think he says.
Yeah.
Just then, who enters?
Well, Freddie shows up.
He's got a big problem.
He says he's got a big problem, and the clip that we heard at the top of the show is the response you get from Leon, who is not one to let his guard down, I would say.
Yeah. Freddie tells him about his $30 million win. That's a substantial amount of cash.
It's a fairly big whack.
I mean, that's what, 25 years ago?
Yeah, so that would be like more than that today.
Yeah,
50
a
million
bit
maybe.
more, some more.
Who knows?
I mean, today, $30 million is nothing.
Oh, I think even, yeah, I wouldn't get a bed for $30 million.
I wouldn't podcast for less than that per year.
Yeah.
So, initially, Leon doesn't believe what he's saying. He doesn't take him very seriously.
No, but he's very quickly persuaded that this is a thing.
And this soon perks him up. His mood at being broke is suddenly changed when he realises that there's an opportunity here to...
Yeah, you almost hear the fruit machines pinging.
Yes.
It's like ding, 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 ding.
So Fred goes into a little bit more detail about this perceived problem, this issue he has.
Yeah, he explains his concern is that Nancy will be entitled to half the money if he claims it.
So this is the second example of someone being greedy and get involved in these problems.
Yeah, I mean, we should say the law in California at this time appears to be that she's entitled to half of his money. If this was Scotland, that would not be the case.
Even to this day?
Even to this day. What happens in Scotland is a date of separation established when the relationship ends, and that is when the financial...
How do you identify that date of separation?
It's agreed between the parties. And you would need to have... if there was not an agreement, the court would take evidence on it. But if you stopped cohabiting, for example, if you move out the family home...
And in fact, the lawyers working on this, so it's, it's not... There's legal meetings and documentation here.
Absolutely. So if this had been in Scotland, he would just claim the money and he'd be fine because she wouldn't be entitled to that because they're past the point of financial reckoning.
Ah, okay. I didn't realise that myself. If I
That
win the
changes your
lottery...
plans.
Yes, that changes a lot of things, actually.
Also in Scotland, anyone you inherit is not marital property.
What if the wife dies in an accident?
It depends how much of an accident.
Okay. I'll talk to you about this later. So, they go to the park, have a walk to discuss how perhaps Leon can help his nephew.
It reminded me a bit of the park from...
Bye-bye?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it is.
I don't know. It's a park, but it reminded me of that, the stroll they were taking through the park.
In any case, they hatch a plan.
Dastardly plan.
Why, what are you thinking about?
A switch.
A switch?
Substitution.
What do you mean?
It's not exactly legal, I'm afraid. We'd both be running a little risk, but I think it's the only possible solution.
Let's hear it.
I cash in the ticket,
You.
just as if I bought it. I get the 30 million.
And then?
And then, I give the money to you.
We can do that? I mean, that would work?
Why not?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it would. Wouldn't it?
It's not really that complicated, Freddie. You give me the ticket, I cash it in. The lottery people give me the money, and I give it to you.
And Nancy never has to know.
Bingo.
All right. This is good. I like it.
Would you rather have all the money now while you're still young and you can get all the pleasure out of it?
Yes.
Would you rather have it dribbled out to you over 20 years?
No, I would like it right now when I can enjoy it. I'd like it right now, right here in my hand.
Well, that's your prerogative, Freddie. It's your money. You can do whatever you please with it.
Normally, if you take the money in hand, it's a smaller amount that you get. My understanding is from American lotteries.
Is it?
You can get the 30 million over however many years, 30 years, $1 million a year, or you can take, for example, 20 million, 22 million as a lump sum.
Really?
A bit like you would do with a pension pot, I would imagine.
Sure. I mean, that's not how it is here.
I don't think you get the option to take it over a longer period here. You just get the money and deal with it. But then we only have one lottery.
Yes.
So they don't have a national lottery. It's all state and whatever else.
There is one obvious glaring plot hole or issue with the plan that's been offered here.
What's that?
The reason that they're hatching this scheme is because Freddie does not want to have to give his still current wife half of the winnings. So Leon is going to pretend to have won it. How can he then simply give it all away to Freddie? Surely his wife, unless she's part of this plan, and there's no indication that she is or will be, half of it would belong to her.
No, because she's not getting divorced. Because when you're still married, marital property is the property of you both, but it's not split.
Yeah, sure, but he can't say to his... He can in the eyes of the law,
Yeah.
but in reality, you can't go back to your wife and say, we've won 30 million, I'm giving it all away to Freddie.
Yeah, no, she would need to be in the plan.
Yes. I mean, obviously, this is never his plan anyway.
Yeah, so there's no need to bring her in.
But Freddie should be thinking this. Wait a second, Uncle Leon, you've come up with this plan, but here's a flaw. What are you going to say to Auntie Martha?
I would have thought that would come up.
Yeah.
The other thing is, over here, one of the things you can do with the National Lottery if you want is be anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought if that were an option, it would be very wise to take it.
Yes. However, I mean, that's fine for the general sort of anonymity in terms of your general public. But I would suggest that anyone in your circle of friends and anyone who
They might notice.
knows you, yeah, it's not £1 million here, this is $30 million. It's going to be hard to hide. And Freddie doesn't strike me as a type of guy who is going to be very sort of frugal, and
he's driving a Volkswagen one day and a BMW the next, and
Yeah.
folks start to ask questions.
he's the type of guy who's involved in, if he was a cop, he'd be a bent copper who would drive into work in his Ferrari. He is, however, smart enough to request that a formal agreement is drawn up between him and his uncle. Now,
It's not enforceable. I would imagine it would not be enforceable. You can't have a contract for an illegal activity.
I was going to say that.
Certainly in Scotland, which is where I've got my experience, but I would have thought similarly in California.
However, it might not be that it's enforceable in the law, but it proves what's happened. So the court can't say, yeah, you're entitled to half or not half this money, but it's a form of insurance in case anything.
Yeah, it could invalidate the win altogether, potentially.
Before we leave the park, Freddie Brewer was played by Gary Kruger, or Kroger. He was born in...
Freddie's brother.
Could be, yeah. Born in 1957. He has been a voice actor in Dilbert. He's been on Saturday Night Live, Murder, She Wrote, LA Law. And he is currently running for the Democratic nomination to Congress in Iowa.
Is he? Mm-hmm. Who's he running against?
Don't know.
Freddie goes home.
Yeah, before they do, we hear Leon ask Freddie about some of the practical, logistical...
As the scene ends, yes, they've got these questions going, where did you buy it, what time, what did you use to buy it, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, because it crops up. This isn't very well thought out either. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
As you said, we go to Freddie's apartment. What's he doing?
He's popping a champagne cork and having champagne and sandwiches, a celebration for one.
Yes, in front of his TV, where Leon is about to be the guest on a TV show.
Yeah, I think he's planning a prolonged celebration for one, because he's bought a case of champagne.
Yeah. Again, he doesn't strike me as a type who that would be his natural drink. I mean, champagne, it's a drink you have a glass or two of, and when you're celebrating. But your average Joe, I'll buy. We'll hear later that he's a beer drinker. That's what he loves.
Yeah.
To suddenly change your taste just because you've got money to I'll now only drink champagne. It doesn't.
I think maybe it's a spontaneous purchase. I'm buying a case of champagne.
Could be.
One of his neighbours stops by, Trish.
Yeah. This is the first in a number of odd and unrequired characters in this episode, I think.
Yeah, all the neighbours follow in, including a chimp in a kilt, and you almost feel like there should be some canned laughter or something.
Yeah.
It's like a sitcom scene.
It is, and I must admit, this is one of the things that annoys me about this episode. The Italian old couple are really quite...
Are they an old couple? That was mother and son.
No, I think they're...
Are they a couple?
I think so.
Ah, okay.
Don't know. You've got the guy, the weird guy with the monkey.
It's not a monkey, it's a chimp.
I know it's not, but I'm going to call it that because I know it annoys you. A little monkey creature. Then you have, some other randoms?
There are a lot of women that live in the block, apparently. And every one of them has nothing better to do.
It's weird. It's got the feel of that they're sort of that hippie type, but none of them look really, apart from Trish, look as if they are. Freddie certainly has, throughout the episode and what we learn about him, has no inclination towards that lifestyle. We see later when they're singing a few songs and they're acting like these sort of hippie types, but the girls are dressed in power suits, shoulder pads from the 80s. It's just a really weird setup. Nothing seems real or obvious or natural about it.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie at first seems concerned because Trish has left the door open, like he doesn't want this lot to come pouring into his apartment, and then suddenly they all pour in and address him by name and they know him and he's their buddy, and It seems like a weird thing.
Also, I mean, it was his uncle who won the money, not him. Would you naturally and obviously go to the nephew's place to celebrate his uncle's win?
I don't know. I mean, obviously he must have told them who his uncle is. Otherwise, how on earth would they know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess maybe if he's talked about this guy enough, they would say, "Oh, it's your uncle's in the television," rather than he's won. It's more he's on the television.
Sure.
I don't know. The whole scene is a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm. Freddie then goes to get more champagne for the guest from the fridge, and we see that he has a case of the stuff as I mentioned. Yeah. And we are also shown a brief shot of a car magazine with a vehicle valued at $175,000, and there's a little sort of handwritten note which indicates that it's more than just him perusing.
Yeah, he's got specific information about that vehicle noted down. He hides the case of champagne under the table. Mm-hmm. It's not the best hiding job ever, but
the fridge is still full of it.
The fridge is still full of the entire case of champagne. No one will ever look in there.
No, at a party. We, on the TV, see Leon receive his cheque, and the party toasts him.
Yeah, as a toast goes up, yeah.
So a day or so later, we're not sure when, we're in Leon's jewellery workshop. So another part of the business.
It's quite a brief scene that we've got here. He's getting told by an assistant that he's fielded a lot of calls since the lottery win, one of which is from Freddie.
Yeah, another of which is from Bucks for Ducks. We'll see that later in the episode.
A lot of charities are looking for money. Geese for Lithuania or something like that.
Understand what they're trying to get at, but that's not how you would approach a newly minted millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, later in the scene, in the episode, we see them with I thought they were, the placards looked as if they were protesting.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
It's not how you go about asking for money.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Harassing people outside the shop with
guilting them into donating.
Yeah. As you mentioned, one of the calls, one of the people who have been in touch is Freddie, who is getting anxious about this, understanding what's happening with his cash. But for the first time in the episode, we start to get an idea of what Leon has in mind, because he tells the PA that rather than see Freddie this afternoon as he had wished, he'll give him a call as he leaves work that evening. Yeah,
it's not a priority for Leon to get this deal consummated and finalised.
No. We do see Leon place the call in his car later, and as I mentioned, Freddie is very anxious.
I think Freddie's kind of stupid as well.
Yes, he is stupid.
He's acting as though Leon knows exactly how to handle these things, when clearly he's never won the lottery before.
Well, I think this is one of the things that is obvious. It's actually quite nicely done. Freddie looks up to Uncle Leon.
Yeah.
I think he respects him. He thinks he's the man, he's a businessman. He's already a very rich man, as we can tell from his business in his house.
I think you see the trust that he has in him kind of eroded a little bit over the next few scenes, but he certainly does believe that Leon has his best interests at heart.
Yes. I mean, I think the trust erosion is perhaps him being perhaps a little bit suspicious that he may be holding on to his cash, and at the very worst, not, he's financially going to get aggrieved. I don't think he suspects his uncle would go as far as he does.
No, but I think, he's feeling the pinch because he can't afford his rent. And Leon's sitting there with £30 million of his money.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be thinking, well, Uncle Leon, I'm good for this. Can you, a rich man, he doesn't know he's broke, can you give me 10, 15 grand, just to get by for a week or two?
Yeah.
Leon tells him that it's going to be a few more weeks until he can get the cash to him, and Freddie reluctantly accepts it.
Well, what choice does he have?
For the first time, we head over to Leon's home.
Yeah, his wife's there greeting him.
She's very chirpy.
Very happy that they've won $30 million.
Yeah. I'd perk up a little bit.
She's excited that all the other local rich people now want to be their friends.
Yeah.
Rather than disgusted by it, as I thought she was going to be when she first mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Again, this just backs up the point about, everyone, it's just this money changes people. Or I don't know if it changes her, but the greed off it, how they're handling it doesn't come across too good.
For her, I think it's not just the fact that she is now wealthy, she wants to be seen to be wealthy. Mm-hmm. And so the social side of it is important.
Yep, and to that end, they decide to throw a celebratory costume party on Halloween, which is 2 weeks away.
Yeah, which pass in the blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is TV. What did you want?
something might have happened in those 2 weeks. I thought maybe Freddie would be getting more agitated. Or,
Yeah, you could have even a montage of phone calls and that type of thing to show this.
running up some stairs, making another phone call.
But no, it's 2 weeks to the party, and the theme is I come as your favourite millionaire from history.
Yeah.
Before we leave that scene at the home, the camera focuses on Leon, and he pulls a very sinister murderer type face.
Yeah, he knows in his heart that he's now a killer, even if he's not killed anybody yet.
So we're at the Halloween party.
Preparations are underway.
Nearly complete, and Leon is dressed in a very regal costume.
He appears to be an English king.
It was George V.
Yeah. Was he a millionaire?
Oh yeah, all well,
On
weren't they?
paper, maybe, but I mean, what does the state own and what does the royal family personally
Well,
own?
we know that the Queen is worth what? Personally, she was one of the richest until they changed it.
But if she was to abdicate and not be queen, would she still have
Oh yeah,
that kind of money?
her
So
personal wealth, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Where did she get that from?
Robbing people,
Us.
killing us,
Essentially.
Yeah, our forefathers killed people and took it. We see Leon. What does he do? He makes a dash.
In full fancy dress, he nips out the back door and is unseen as he dashes to his back door.
Chancy. Not thought this out at all, has he?
No. He gets in a car in costume.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to spot that.
Well, it's Halloween night, I
I
suppose.
suppose you've got that's the one thing.
Yeah, it's like the best time to shoot someone is on in the UK would be in Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, no one would think it was a gun, it would be fireworks.
Yeah.
You've thought about that, obviously.
Oh yeah. Plenty of time. In fact, I think it's in the first Poirot murder styles. I think that's part of the plot.
Oh, okay.
But I did think of that before I read that book. Because I've got a murderer's mind.
Clearly.
So he goes over to Freddy's apartment.
Yep, he's got a cape on, a hood up over his head, so...
I quite liked it. It's quite sinister the way he appears. It's very mustachio twirling bad guy.
But the cape looks so bad. It's such a cheap costume cape.
Yeah. He's a millionaire here.
Yeah.
Invest in a proper one.
We get ominous music as he enters the building.
Freddy is chimp sitting for the neighbour.
Yes.
And as Leon arrives, the chimp jumps onto him and hugs him and all that type of stuff. He tells Freddy the money is in the trunk of his car.
That upsets Freddy because he's thinking, this is not the neighbourhood to be leaving $30 million in the trunk of your car.
No, but that's also nonsense. $30 million. Do you know how much that would be?
Yeah, it would be more than the trunk of a car.
Yeah, and also you'd be thinking, well, why are you doing this? Don't give me 30 million all in one go.
He's not divorced yet, so he can't put it in his bank. He needs cash.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but not 30 million off it.
I suppose, yeah. Not
I
all
want it
now.
all. I've had nothing for 2 weeks. Give me, I say, give me 50,000. And we'll work something out. Don't go over here in the middle of the night with $30 million. Don't have a proper alarm system. We've got this chimp running about.
He's brought it in nickels.
At this point, Leon asks Freddy where the agreement letter is, the contract, the pseudo contract.
Yeah, and he foolishly tells him.
Under the mattress.
So there's clearly still a degree of trust.
Mm-hmm. And Freddy's happy enough. He bends over to pick up a glass, and what happens?
Well, he gets hit over the back of the head with a champagne bottle.
Mm-hmm. Again, a bit of a Columbo trope, champagne involved.
I was thinking Lila Sanka.
Yeah.
That was some time ago. 58 episodes.
50 episodes, yeah.
It's more than a year.
Would you like to watch that again, Murder by the Book?
I still have the idea that we should make her final episode a rewatch of Murder by the Book.
You think?
Without any of our original notes.
Watch it as if we're watching it fresh. See, but it wouldn't be as different for... my notes would be generally the same. It's got to be a
mine
bigger...
wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. Yours would be different for... It'd be a different episode for you. Let us know.
Yeah, if people like that idea, maybe give us a shout. Anyway, Freddy gets carried through to the bathroom.
He does.
And placed on the toilet.
Yeah. So the plan is that Leon is going to make it look as if Freddy slipped in the bath.
Yeah.
He strips him, runs a bath, places him in the bath. He takes his... Again, this is a trope of the genre. He smashes his wristwatch so that it stops at the apparent time of death.
Yeah, but then he changes the time.
By an hour, when he wants it to look as if he died.
Yeah. It's strange, Freddy remains in a seated position in the toilet. I don't think that would happen with a dead body. Or an unconscious body.
You don't know much about handling dead unconscious
I would have
bodies.
thought you might have crumpled or slid.
It's not how it works, Ian.
No.
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it later.
I'll take your word for that.
We then get a bit of a shock. Was it a shock for you?
When he wakes up.
Yeah, he's not dead.
No, I didn't think he was dead.
Did you not?
I thought he was going to have to drown him, but I just thought he would still be unconscious when he did it.
See, this is again, I mean, it's obviously a very cold and heartless murder, this, but this makes it even worse, doesn't it? He has to, Freddy wakes
Look him
up,
in the eye.
look him in the eye and hold him under there, and yeah, quite horrible.
Yeah, and it's upsetting the chimp.
It would do.
He's trying to look under the door and see what's going on, and
Yeah.
he's very
He's
upset.
on his stomach with
Yeah,
little eyes peering.
that's it.
Little monkey.
I did note why is he wearing his watch in the bath, but that gets covered.
Why is who wearing the watch in the bath?
Freddy.
Because he was murdered and put in there.
Yeah, I know, but from Leon's point of view, setting up this scene, why is he set us up with him having a watch on in the bath? We learn later why.
As he recovers the letter, we see Nancy arrive. Now, was this a bit of a shock for you? Did you suspect this?
Why would I suspect this?
Well, did you think they were Did you think that they were in cahoots? No.
No, why would I have any idea that Nancy's going?
Because sometimes it can be obvious when you're watching it. You think, she's involved.
As she was approaching the building.
Yeah, did you anticipate?
No, I mean, I had no reason to think that she was involved, but when she showed up at the building, I didn't think she was there for friendly reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe she would stumble on it or something, but I didn't
Yeah.
think she was there to protect Freddy.
So there's tension. She enters.
Yeah.
Is she about to be murdered? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I didn't think. I wasn't sure, but I wasn't thinking that.
Good, because the answer is no.
No,
She kisses Leon.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
The chimp's still upset and trying to get in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
We should note that Leon has successfully recovered the letter, and it no longer plays part of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one piece of evidence he did deal with.
What else didn't play a part in the episode was Leon's personal financial position. I thought that would come up.
Mm-hmm. There's another thing that we'll come to later that I'll mention didn't come up.
Okay. Back at the party,
Yeah.
Leon returns via the back door, which again is chancy. Anyone could have seen him coming back in.
Yeah.
And we note a man filming the celebration with a camcorder.
Yep, it's 8 p.m. We see the time both on the clock and on the camcorder.
Mm-hmm.
Although we never use the film in this episode.
This doesn't come back up either, does it?
Nope.
The phone goes.
Yes. Member of staff answers, tells him Freddy's phoning for him.
Yep, that's odd. Freddy's dead.
Yeah, but it's Nancy with a bit
Final
of
nightmare.
cloth.
Doesn't matter.
It's Nancy. She's put a bit of cloth over the phone, which makes her sound like Freddy.
Of course.
Magic cloth.
Yeah.
Ray Milland had one of those.
Mm-hmm.
There's a message from Freddy. He's going to be late.
Yeah. So this is him establishing his alibi.
He's there and Freddy's still alive.
Yeah.
And the phone call is from Freddy's house. That's why Nancy had to be in the house.
Of course. We're at the crime scene now, Freddy's apartment.
Columbo's cuddling the chimp.
Comforting it, yes. He had raised the alarm by crying, and Trish had come down to
Yeah.
discover the body.
And Trish is now flirting with Columbo.
Yeah. 2 women in this episode. Both very attractive women. And I'm not saying Peter Falk's unattractive, but the character of Columbo is certainly not someone who these attractive women would find cute, I wouldn't have thought.
Who knows? People are attracted to different things.
Yeah, both of them in the same episode. Do you think Peter Falk was just throwing his weight about that episode? Listen.
I'm going to have these ones.
Yep. They both want me. They won't have me, but they both want me.
Maybe in the original script they didn't, and he's like, how about
Yeah.
these two want Columbo?
Peter, do you think that is within character and relevant to the plot? Yeah. They both want me.
I wonder if he sort of, what if all 5 women want Columbo? Right, we'll do you 2. We'll do you 2 and no more. Fine. 2 women.
But they both really want me.
One should write a poem for me, and one should stroke my hair.
And I want a chimp in this episode. Peter, we're not having chimps. Get me a chimp.
Bring the
Yeah.
chimpanzee.
Right. So Peter, what you're saying is in this episode we have to have a chimp. Yeah. And 2 women want you. Yeah, you think that's Columbo, do you? Yep. I'm not signing a new deal unless I get this.
This is the arrangement.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Michael Jackson's got a chimp. I'm having a chimp.
Maybe they didn't even want it. You're just messing with them, the producers, the studios.
It's the most outrageous thing I can ask for.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back unless I get $400,000 an episode and chimp.
Yep. And also, in this episode, I want to have the power of Wayne Jennings. So, yeah.
And he was successful. That's what they've done.
Yep. He's got all three.
Trish points out that she's a poet and a potter, and she lives downstairs.
Reminding me a little bit of Dead Weight.
The mother and daughter who live together.
And the daughter was a potter and all this type of thing, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure. And she worked with animals.
Yes.
Trisha doesn't work with animals, but she likes them.
Stitch and Crime, someone worked at a petting zoo there, didn't they?
That was Dead Weight.
Is it Dead Weight? You sure?
Yep.
Oh yes, because they were at the hospital in Stitch and Crime. Was it Dead Weight? Was it as early as that?
Dead Weight was, yes, she worked in the petting zoo.
With the llamas?
Yep, because they went there and the guy who was being framed... No, that was in thing, was both. Yep, and Stitch and Crime as well.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, because we discussed that. Was it the same petting zoo? And I think, in fact, it was the same petting zoo. I think that was trivia. So yeah, both episodes.
Memory's not playing too many tricks right now.
No. So we're in the oh, well, sorry, what I should say is that the chimp notices Columbo's badge. He lifts it. He pockets it.
Yeah, as Columbo's passing the chimp to Trish, the Columbo... Yeah. So the chimp steals Columbo's badge.
Yeah, the cheeky wee rascal. We're in the bathroom, and another detective explains the accident theory as Columbo looks around and extols the virtue of a backbrush, a loofah, I think we call it.
Yeah, this is it. Well, a loofah is more of a sponge thing. It's not a brush.
Yeah, but you can get one on a brush, can you not?
Yeah, but a brush is a brush.
Anyway.
This is not the first bath death that we've had in Columbo, is it? At least the third.
Yeah, I've had a few.
Double shock. Friend indeed.
Now, Columbo notes that the oil around the bath was meant to be used after bathing. But that doesn't really make sense because the oil's just sitting there. He may not have used it.
No, they found the water's oily.
Ah, okay.
But
so Leon's poured it in.
They just assume that maybe Freddie's put it in because he doesn't know how to work a bath oil.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't. Throw a bit of this in, a bit of that.
And a lot of guys don't even have bath oil.
No.
What's that all about?
A lot of guys don't even have baths.
No, I mean, why does he not get a shower?
Exactly.
This is the 1990s, man.
Columbo then notes the conveniently broken watch, and he finds something very interesting on the back of it, or lack thereof.
We don't know what it is, but we'll come to that.
We will.
It's not the first time this has happened. Columbo, in fact, I think has specifically mentioned in previous episodes that it's a very bad way to set the time of death, is by a broken watch.
He leaves the bathroom and goes back through to the main room, and he looks at several photographs of the chimp, and he notes the picture of the expensive car with the handwritten note.
Yep.
The detective informs Columbo about Freddie's marital status.
He does.
And that he placed a call a few minutes before his death.
8:01, he called Leon Lamar.
Mm-hmm. So, Columbo obviously has to head over to Leon's place,
where the party is still happening.
Yeah. Columbo arrives with his car backfiring and is mistaken for being in fancy dress.
Yeah, they think he's an eccentric billionaire.
Mm-hmm. I suppose that's a new twist on the trope of him being, not ID'd as a cop, but mistaken for...
Instead of thinking he's a tramp, they think he's a millionaire.
Yeah. He IDs himself, and Leon confirms the call that was placed by Freddie, and that Freddie himself was meant to be attending but was running late.
Yeah, Leon initially seems upset, but he starts to overact, and I think you can see Columbo twig.
Mm-hmm. At this point, he's suspicious.
You get this stuff about Freddie being like a son to them because his parents died in a plane. He gives Freddie's entire background out of nothing.
Yeah.
Columbo's not even asked a question.
And that background, however, shows how cold, again, the killing was. Someone that you perhaps brought up, he's lost his parents when he was young himself. You have been the father figure, and then you decide to kill him. And I mentioned to you earlier, Ian, he was being offered a minimum of £3 million anyway for this, his help. And that would have been more than £3 million. £3 million up front, but Freddie would have looked after his great uncle, because his great uncle could have blackmailed him at any point in the future. He has that over him. So I would have suggested that if I was Leon, I would have said, listen, why don't you give me 10?
Yeah.
You take 20.
Or something in between.
Yeah.
Freddie would probably have been amenable to that.
Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of it, it's not just the cash, it's who would be getting half of his cash. He doesn't want his wife to get any of this money.
The only way that the plot of this episode makes sense is if you accept that Leon and Nancy were in a legitimately loving relationship and intended to be together at some point.
Well, let's quickly chat about that dynamic and why it doesn't really make sense.
Okay.
Well, you mentioned it there.
Yeah.
When Leon... So Leon picks up the phone to Nancy and says, Nancy, I found out Freddie has won the lottery. Fancy killing him? You can take half. Now, at that point, she immediately can say, no, thanks for the information. I will now just report you, let Freddie know, tell the authorities, and I'll get £15 million anyway because I'm still married to him.
Yeah.
So you're offering me either the opportunity to get £15 million legally, or murder my husband, or be party to murdering, accomplice in murdering my husband and taking 15 million as well. It's a no-brainer here. The only way that works is if she genuinely does love Leon, wants to be with her.
Yeah, wants to have 30 million together.
Yeah, but it's a risky way. It's, I would rather say, nah, you're okay, Leon, thanks for that.
I'll just take my share.
Yeah, and now I know he has 30 million, I'll have it, yeah. I'll take it legally.
That would make more sense to me.
Leon mentions at the end of this scene that he doesn't even think that Nancy would shed a tear on hearing the news because of the state of the marriage.
It's quite weird. He brings Nancy up unprompted, and I would imagine Columbo takes note of that very quickly. Mm-hmm. He says, does Nancy know his ex-wife? I would think that would stick out to Columbo. Maybe not immediately, but when he thinks back on the conversation, why did he bring up Nancy?
Mm-hmm. He does act on it very quickly because he next goes to Nancy's lingerie shop.
Columbo does, yes.
Yep. And before he discusses the case, we have a trope, don't we?
Yes.
Which is?
Well, you've got Columbo skulking around a lingerie shop.
Yep. It's touching women's underwear.
Not the first time he's done that.
Nope.
It's also similar a little bit to the art gallery scene. Remember when he identified the air vent as a piece of modern art? Was that suitable for framing?
Might have been, yeah.
Anyway, whichever episode it was, it's the same sort of thing where he's kind of just wandering around blindly looking at things.
But not just that, it's the trope of asking how much something costs and then being shocked at the price.
Of course, yes, the price, was it $400?
$425 for the set, and him wanting it for Mrs. Columbo, but thinking, not at that price, I don't think.
In any event, I think we doubt his line about it being their anniversary.
Yes, he claims it's a 25-year anniversary. Now, he's about 62, 63 at this point.
Yeah.
They didn't get married in his late 30s.
I don't believe that. Not from the way he speaks about her.
Nope.
I think she's his long-term, wife since he's been an adult.
That generation, especially Italian Catholic generation in America, they'd be getting married when they were in their early 20s.
I would say at least 15 years on top of what he's saying. So I would say we're closer to his 40th anniversary.
Although here's the thing. Could it be that this isn't their first marriage? Because they don't have kids, which would be very unusual for an Italian Catholic family of that generation not to have any children. So perhaps they met later in life.
I wonder, though, is it tied into his career change? Because he says in an earlier episode he joined the police in 1968.
Yeah, that was nonsense. That was in Uneasy Lies the Crown. He says he's been in the force for how many, 22 years or something. Worked out that he would have joined the cops when he was 40.
Yeah. So maybe he was something else somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, he changed career and met his wife as an older man, in his late 30s.
Right. So, where were we?
He's not going to spend that, I suppose, on his wife. And we don't believe it's her anniversary. So, he's just making conversation.
Yes.
It's an in, essentially.
Nancy admits to not feeling a great sense of loss for Freddie's death and says that she's not spoken with him in about a month.
Yeah. In a few scenes' time, she's going to completely contradict herself. But for now, this is her position.
Before he leaves, she suggests that sterling is the appropriate gift for the 25th anniversary, and she suggests buying a bracelet in addition to the lingerie set.
He's referred to Leon, and this is where it clicks for him who Leon is, that he's the lottery winner.
Yes.
You remember seeing him on the television.
Nancy Brower was played by Jamie Rose. Born in 1959, she is best known for a role in Falcon Crest. She's also been in Tightrope with Clint Eastwood, Silk Stocking, Chicago Hope, Murder, She Wrote, and one of my favourite movies, Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town.
Missed that one.
So did I.
I believe she was in an episode of House, season 5, episode 1.
Is that what you believe?
My girlfriend's just finished watching all of House all the way through. So when I had this on the telly, she's like, I recognise that face. Okay.
Currently, she is an acting teacher in LA.
She does quite a good job, I think. I know we criticise the character, but I think as written, she does a good job portraying.
Yes.
Certainly gets that whole sort of femme fatale thing going on.
Oh yeah, Black Widow. Columbo leaves the lingerie shop and he heads back over to the jeweller's. And outside with these pictures that I mentioned.
I don't get it.
Yeah, begging for money by harassing Leon.
That's just rude.
It is. Inside, Columbo shakes the hand of the newly minted millionaire.
That's They talk about what it was like to win the lottery.
See, this is nice. Columbo asks him to explain what he was doing, what his response was when he found out. And this is the type of thing that, if you're making it up,
You haven't maybe thought about.
yeah, you haven't planned. So it's a nice little technique here.
And Leon makes a complete mess of it.
He does. Why?
Well, he mentions 3 different people who were and weren't there at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the big one is that he says that he says his wife wasn't there, which is fine, because she wasn't, because he didn't win it.
Yeah.
But he says that his son was there. That's easily disproved.
But I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. I'm sure before that he says he was on his own. Mm-hmm. Then he says his wife was there and his wife wasn't there. And then his son was there.
Well, I think maybe what he meant was he was in the house or something and he shouts to his wife, but she wasn't there. But his son was there. But, like I say, this is nonsense.
It doesn't come across organic at all. It sounds like he's making it up.
Yeah, and if Columbo's suspicious about this, which clearly he is, he simply says, well, can I speak to your son? And then the son says, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
The
then
son doesn't appear in this episode,
he doesn't know.
conveniently. Freddy's watch.
What about it?
Columbo has questions.
Yeah. Leon shows him the same type of watch that Freddy had on.
That's right. It matches.
Yep. Columbo has an issue. The watch was a fake. Now, we know this because of what?
That was what he was looking at in the back of the watch initially. And obviously it's been down the lab to get checked.
There was no serial number. Any decent quality watch would have a number. Freddy's didn't.
Yeah.
Leon states quite clearly that he gave Freddy the watch as a birthday present and is angered at the thought that perhaps Columbo is suggesting that he gave him a fake. But no, Columbo has an explanation.
Well, isn't it possible, sir, that he might have needed money and sometime during the year he sold it?
Freddie always needed money, that's true.
And isn't it reasonable, sir, to think that, feeling about you the way I know that he did, that he wouldn't want you to know that he sold it?
Yeah. He could have bought a counterfeit because he knew probably I'd never see the back of the case and never suspect it was not the original.
Yes, sir.
Could have happened that way. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I was curt to you. I apologize.
No harm done, sir. But getting back to my question.
Please, yes, sir.
Now, we know this was a fake Lesueur. We established that. Now, my question is this. Since it was a fake, and since a fake is not waterproof, wouldn't you think Freddie would know not to wear it in the bathtub?
Mr. Lamar, you don't want to be late for your luncheon appointment.
Excuse me.
Sounds like an ominous lunch from that music.
Yeah.
What this does is it suggests Leon thought Freddy had a real watch on and knew that was waterproof and wasn't aware of the fake.
I think that's exactly what
But
Columbo's
it's
suggesting.
never followed up on. This is the last we hear of the watch in that regard. We don't get a payoff on that. But certainly it's pointing him at Leon.
Yeah, the whole point of this, this is the payoff. What it shows is that the person, it was murdered because he would not have went into the bath with the watch on, knowing it was a fake.
So the person who killed him must have thought it was
The real watch.
The real watch.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's heavily insinuated here, but we don't come back to it. When he does the gotcha, he doesn't mention it.
Yeah, you can't prove it, but it's a massive clue in that it was someone killed him because Freddy would not have used the bath with the watch on. So I think that just shows that it wasn't an accident.
Yeah, I think that's left for the viewer to put together, though.
I think it's quite clearly laid out by Columbo. Okay.
I'm not sure. I think
You were making a
could do
couple
with
of...
more.
You were doing that again. That was like your last week's printer paper stuff, wasn't it? You were...
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Was it a few weeks ago, was it?
A couple of weeks.
Yeah, you were making a cup of tea or flicking through the football results at the same time, not paying attention, Ian.
No, I've got the exact note. It suggests Leon knew the real watch was waterproof and wasn't aware of the fake.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't put it to him at any stage.
No, you can't prove it.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Where do we go now? Brief scene.
Well, no, before we get to the brief scene, Leon's got a bit of a response, doesn't he?
Ah, yeah, he does. They leave the shop for this lunch meeting.
Yep.
And he suggests, and I think this is a very plausible answer, he asks Columbo if Freddy was drinking.
Yep. Yeah, maybe he planned to take it off before he fell, or had he been drinking? And Columbo confirms that he had not only been drinking, he'd been drinking heavily.
Yes. And Leon tells him that he was quite a heavy drinker in general. So it's a fairly plausible reason for a man to get into a bath with a watch on.
Yeah.
And also to fall.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
If he was drunk.
And Leon leaves, but as he drives round, Columbo's got one more thing.
Which is?
Don't spend your 30 million in one place.
We go to a hotel room next.
We could easily have missed this scene and I would have been quite happy.
Yeah. Leon is greeted at the door by Nancy very passionately, isn't it? I mean, it's a fairly...
We've talked again, we talk every week about the sexing up of Columbo. There's no need for this.
Nope. As they are embracing each other quite vigorously.
She can't even reach round the guy.
No, and she mentions how cute Columbo was. So she's getting herself into the mood by thinking and talking about Columbo.
I think she's maybe taunting him there. Maybe he'll be a bit more vigorous when he's got his dander up.
Okay. But I suppose the point of the scene is that she lets Leon know that Columbo was asking questions.
Yeah.
We're now at the graveside, the burial of Freddy, and we have another trope on the horizon.
I'm going to slot this in as the second weirdest funeral that we've seen.
After the magicians?
The guillotine one, yeah.
Okay.
Trish is reading a poem to music, and Nancy showed up, and Columbo arrives, and the Italian lady gets upset and calls him a bum.
Yeah, okay, that's bit by bit, yeah. So Nancy is reciting some...
No, Trish is reciting...
So Trish is reciting some horrible nonsense poetry. It's garbage.
Utter garbage.
Yep. And we see Nancy, what is it, she's sort of suggestively kissing and...
She's licking her lips at Leon and stuff.
Leon, yeah, across the grave.
Yes.
The open graveside. No one will see that, eh?
No.
I mean, come on. We're only asking you to pretend to be, sad for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, in the previous scene, she'd even mentioned, do I have to go to this?
Yeah. And then we see Columbo arrive late, disrupt the funeral, and immediately he started asking people, is it a piece of paper, isn't it? It's the car magazine.
Yeah. So
he's asking the mourners if they knew if Freddy intended buying or could buy this car.
Which is highly inappropriate.
It's dreadful with this funeral botherer again. Why does he need to do it here?
People are off guard, I guess.
No, but he wasn't trying to ask any suspects. It was just friends. People who are crying or grieving are singing and reciting dreadful poetry.
Maybe he has no time for your human emotions.
Maybe not. Obviously not. It's not the first we've seen this garbage. No, don't do it.
Yeah, we're coming to the pièce de résistance. Leon gives a speech.
He does.
No music.
Nope.
And it's a moving and powerful speech about his love for his buddy and nephew, Freddy. And he gets emotional and he walks away at the end of it. And Columbo tries to barge right across the funeral and stop him leaving.
And at last, someone pulls Columbo up for this utterly dreadful behaviour.
Yeah, the celebrant or of whatever faith there
priest
is,
or minister or whatever,
says to Columbo, the guy is grieving.
Yeah.
Back off.
Thank you. At last.
Columbo doesn't look even a shade embarrassed.
No. And he doesn't stop his behaviour, he just directs it at someone else.
Yeah, the Italian lady's muttering about him in Italian.
Yeah, we've not really discussed this. So this old Italian couple, they're just caricatures, aren't they? It's not great.
I didn't enjoy it particularly. Columbo speaks to her in Italian and suddenly he's her favourite.
It's an immediate about turn. She thinks he's an irritating tramp.
A bum, she calls him.
A bum, yeah. But on hearing him speak a bit of Italian, all of a sudden she wants him to marry her niece.
I did enjoy that the subtitles were in all capitals. It made me feel like they were yelling at each other.
And the whole point of the scene, the conversation, is the Italian man confirms that there's no way Freddy could have afforded the car. He couldn't even pay the rent.
Yeah.
He was skint.
Completely. No money.
Yep, so Columbo decides to go and speak to the car salesman at the dealership.
This old man's playing.
Yep, it is this old man, and it's a bit of sort of trope again, isn't it? Columbo pulls up to the luxury showroom with his car backfiring and...
The door doesn't open.
Yeah. The salesman is dismissive immediately, but...
Columbo smacks him down quite violently, doesn't he?
which is good.
I like that. It's not the only time he does that in this episode, but
No.
I liked it.
We don't hear the conversation, but we discover later that the car salesman confirms that the order was placed.
Yeah, no, he wasn't just looking at this car, he customised his order and placed it.
From there, where does Columbo go?
He heads to Freddy's apartment where his friends have all just barged in and started kumbayaing.
Yeah. And as mentioned before, they don't look like these sort of hippie types. They're not dressed for it. The guy playing the guitar is if you notice his biceps, he's quite a big guy.
Yeah, I don't think the chimps get any time for it.
No. As they are sitting singing, taking it in turns, Columbo enters and starts to snoop around.
Just all around them, doesn't even engage with them.
No. He looks at some of the pictures.
Yep. And he finds the case of champagne.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that earlier. And he pockets the pictures.
Yeah. Now, he's accused by the Italian lady of stealing, but he's a cop in a crime scene. He can take what he wants.
We just kind of slide them into his pocket.
Yeah, but what else would he do? There's no one else there. He doesn't have to show it to people what he's doing.
I do have issues with the contamination of this crime scene.
Yeah.
If they thought this needed search again, why is everyone allowed access?
Well, they shouldn't be. And Columbo, we've seen in previous episodes where he'll get the place sealed off if he thinks it's required.
And he's only finding the champagne now. Why was the apartment not thoroughly searched when they found a dead body in it?
Exactly. Well, see, this is what, if you remember my issue with in Hazardous, we had the cigarette clue.
Yeah.
And he walks in, goes straight to a vital clue. But in this episode, doesn't bother.
We'll get there eventually. Somebody might move it, but hopefully not.
In fairness, I'm thinking about this, the whole the champagne and the car problem that Columbo has. But one of the guests here, one of the mourners, actually suggests something. You hear it briefly. It's fair enough. They said that perhaps he's got a millionaire, a $30 millionaire uncle now who are on great terms, who brought him up like a father. Okay.
Well, I was going to make this
or
point
like a
later
son.
on.
So it would be reasonable to think, do you know what? Maybe even if Leon didn't confirm with Freddy that he could have it, maybe Freddy was just getting a bit greedy and a bit presumptuous. I'll get a case of champagne. Uncle Leon will cover it. I'll get a $175,000 car. He's my dad, effectively. It's not a problem. He's obviously not paid for the car. He's only ordered it. So an explanation is, he bought it because he thinks Uncle Leon will buy it for me, and that's fine actually.
I was going to make that exact point later on. In fact, I will do when it comes up. But yes, I think that's a very good theory. Columbo picked up the camera. Yeah,
well, the group ask him to take a picture of them, which again is odd behaviour. I've not been to funerals where people are taking pictures of each other.
No, it's weird.
Yeah, you don't do it. Look at this. Remember that time it was Uncle Leon's funeral? or young Freddy's, yeah. Let's look at that. You don't take pictures at a funeral.
No, you don't do that.
You don't hire a photographer. Like a wedding.
No. Columbo has an epiphany.
He does. We don't learn what it is, but he's looking down at the camera and notes something on it.
Yeah, they get restless and then eventually takes the picture.
So he heads back over to the jeweller's.
He does.
And under the pretence of buying a sterling gift for Mrs. Columbo, he asks a question about the number of phone calls that Freddy made to Leon in the previous month.
I'll make this quick, sir. It's not a big thing. I was looking through your nephew's telephone bills and just curious about something. Mm-hmm. Last month he made 11 calls to your shop here in Beverly Hills, but on the previous month he only made one. Can you account for that?
Well, Freddie's behavior is not that complicated. When he didn't call me, it's because he was making ends meet. And when he did, it's because he needed some money.
And that's why he made all those calls last month, sir?
Yes, sir.
He needed money?
Oh, yes.
Well, that don't add up.
You got a problem with that?
Yeah, something's missing here, because on the 20th, the day he called you for money, that boy went out and he ordered a $175,000 automobile.
What? Who told you that?
Oh, the salesman, sir. Oh, yeah, Freddie. He'd selected the color, and he was going to have it delivered in Europe, in Switzerland, in Bern.
Don't pay any mind to that. Well, that sounds like Freddie. Yeah, it sure does. He could do that. I mean, that kid, he was in the clouds. It was all fantasy.
You mean he would make things up?
Make him up. He told me he was going on tour with Madonna as our private photographer.
It wasn't true?
Made it up.
No kidding.
It's Madonna.
From here, Leon goes on to tell a tale about Freddie viewing $4 million houses in a limo just for fun.
Yeah, this is where Leon misses a trick. He should have used that story you just gave in the previous scene. He must have assumed I was going to give him money.
Yeah.
I just won the friggin' lottery. It's not like money's completely absent from Freddie's life now.
No.
I don't understand why you wouldn't think to say that.
So Leon has Freddie as a fantasist, but Columbo calls him out on it by asking if he can have the name of the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Quite smart. So Columbo knows now that this is nonsense.
He does. I think he saw the bad acting earlier from Leon, and I think he's had a couple of clues since then, and I think he now is very much aware that this was a murder and Leon was involved, if not responsible.
He goes to leave, but we have one more thing. Columbo mentions the case of champagne that Freddie bought.
Yep.
That was not a fantasy. That was bought.
Yep.
And then we have a second one more thing.
A two more thing.
Columbo tells Leon that after searching Freddie's apartment, they did not find any fancy dress costume. And Leon had always claimed that Freddie was just running late for the party and knew that it was a fancy dress themed event. I like that clue.
I thought it was a good clue.
Mm-hmm. Leon, however, offers an explanation.
Well, Columbo likes this explanation, doesn't he?
Which is?
Similar to the way people responded to Columbo at the party. It may have been Freddie's intention to show up as an eccentric billionaire like Howard Hughes by wearing old clothes, and perhaps he would have done that because it was cheaper. And Columbo says, "A damn good point, sir."
We're back in the hotel room. Nancy is unhappy when Leon tells her that they should back off from each other.
Well, Leo's getting dressed, so he's obviously waited until he's got what he came for before doing this.
Change of clothes?
Yeah.
He tells her that Columbo's getting too close, he's asking too many questions, and she's rightly concerned that Leon has her half of the cash, and she is now in the Freddie position.
Yeah, I think this is the end of their partnership.
Yeah.
I didn't get what happened here.
Where?
The bit from this scene into the next one.
Okay, so Nancy leaves the hotel and is going home.
So is this much later?
No, same evening.
But has Leon left sometime earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, that was what I thought, but it wasn't clear because you go from the two of them in the room to her leaving and Columbo being there.
Yeah, they were both in the hotel.
Yes.
They've both left, went their separate ways, and she's went home.
This is her leaving her house later.
No, this is her returning.
Sorry, returning to her home.
Yeah, she came from the hotel to here.
Right, I wasn't sure, because all you see is her walking outside and Columbo's there, and then they're at her house.
Yeah. Columbo's waiting for her as she returns, and he has a quick question. Why hadn't she signed the divorce papers? And she replied that it was due to the communal debt clause. She wasn't happy with that.
Yeah, but Columbo notes that it was eliminated on October the 2nd and new papers were with her by the 4th. It's still not been signed.
Yeah. She didn't expect Columbo to have that information.
No, so she resorts to melodrama.
She puts on an act, a not very convincing act.
It's a terrible act. And not only is it obviously terrible to us, it's obviously terrible to Columbo and later to Leon.
Yeah. Her apparent reason is that effectively the finality of what was going to happen had sunk in and she couldn't bring herself to sign away her marriage.
It's a direct contradiction to what she said earlier when she first met Columbo about not really caring that Freddie was dead.
Yeah. It's a complete lie, but obviously she has been, in fairness, she has been put on her heels by Columbo here and she's had to come up with something. And it's not great.
He now knows that she's up to something.
Yeah.
But I think with her bad acting and Leon's bad acting, he's maybe thinking, well, hang on, what's the story?
Mm-hmm. In Leon's home, we hear Martha playing the piano and the phone goes.
Yeah, Leon obviously is pretending to enjoy the music, but not really.
No.
And he gets more upset when he answers the phone.
Why?
Because Nancy's called his house.
From where?
The bath.
Why does she want to, or why has she called him?
To demonstrate that she has some kind of leverage, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is perhaps a veiled threat that, listen, make sure you don't forget about me because I'm not forgetting about you.
Well, it's quite apparent that their relationship has completely broken down and she is now taking on self-preservation.
Mm-hmm. She tells him about Columbo's visit or communication with her.
Yeah, and tells him how brilliant she was when she broke down and
Leon very perceptively realises immediately that, no, she's not put on a fantastic act here. This is bad news.
Absolutely. I think he suspects perhaps that the game is going to be up for one or both of them imminently.
We haven't seen a lot of Leon's wife Martha in this episode.
She's a cheery sort though, with the exception of the funeral. Every time you see her, she's smiling.
Yeah, you would smile if your husband had just won $30 million.
I don't know.
I do.
There's plenty of wives of wealthy women, of wealthy men in Columbo episodes that have been unhappy.
Yeah, after years, I suppose, but not in your first few weeks of becoming a multi-millionaire.
Can't imagine if they had a problematic relationship that money would cure it.
Yeah, it might help. She's got a new piano.
That's true.
Been tuned. Or has it? Did you recognise her at all?
She had those sort of familiar faces, but I don't know where I know her from.
She's a bit of a legend in certain genres.
Really?
Yeah, Betsy Palmer played Martha Lamar. She died just last year, aged 88. She has been in I Got a Secret, Mr. Roberts, and Murder, She Wrote. However, she is known to millions of people as a horror legend. She was the original killer in Friday the 13th, playing Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees.
Oh.
Yeah, so very famous in that field.
She an award winner for that one.
A Razzie.
Oh dear.
But I think at the time the Razzies came out and it hadn't become the cult franchise that it now is. It was just a sort of standalone slasher which wasn't, necessarily highly regarded and on release. But she's went down as a legend.
That's good to know.
She also lived with James Dean for 8 months.
Did he know about it?
Nope, she was in the basement.
That's a story that needs to be told. There's another bizarre scene coming up.
Yeah, we're in Lamar's office now, his workshop place.
Yeah, many weeks or possibly months after his lottery win, they decide to bring in cake.
This is his second party. I suppose the first party was for friends and family.
Yeah, but he hasn't organised this one.
No.
His colleagues have.
Yeah. Columbo joins the celebration and he has an incredible story to tell Leon about what he noticed when he used Freddy's camera at the impromptu wake.
Yes, what was that?
The aperture, was it? The numbers? I'm not sure if it was aperture, but the numbers on the camera were the same as the winning tickets, the winning lottery ticket numbers.
Yep. Now, Leon surely could come back with all apertures of that type have those numbers on it. It's not unique.
Yeah. He doesn't say that. He says that, I gave Freddy that camera. My dad handed the old photography of myself.
Columbo just interjects, nope, stop, enough. I'm not listening to any more of your nonsense.
Yep, he says, he cuts him short, says, no, this was no coincidence. And at this point, they both know what they both know.
I think you also get the feeling that Columbo has taken a disliking to this man.
Yeah.
He doesn't yell at him, but you can sense in the way that he treats him. He doesn't listen to his story. He's not interested in his lies.
Yeah, well, we've had this before, and I think there are certain murders where it's you can empathise with the killer, why they've done it. But this is pure greed.
Yeah, selfishness.
And it's not even a stranger or a business partner. This is someone who looked up to you, trusted you, who you raised to an extent. It's a horrible, horrible crime for purely financial gain.
Yeah, there's nothing altruistic about it at all.
No.
Back to the lingerie shop.
Yep. Columbo has the same disturbing news for Nancy.
Well, first of all, he's chapping in the windows of the shop while it's closed. And
yeah, and then her co-worker, rather than saying, there's an odd-looking man here at a lingerie shop, do you want me to wait with you? She goes, yeah, you better see him. I'm away, bye-bye. I'll leave her in the dark to open up.
No, she just give her the option of going out the back way.
Yeah, but you would still think, I'll hang about here. You know, this isn't normal.
The point of this scene anyway is Columbo revealing that he now knows.
And him viewing her response or seeing her utter shock and fear.
Yeah, hearing Freddy was murdered, he wasn't slipping or falling or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then we get another new scene.
The final scene. Leon is bidding on some jewellery when Columbo arrives, and of course he accidentally bids twice up to $450,000.
Like he wouldn't know.
Yeah. He has some important news for Leon. It's the same news. Freddy's death was not an accident.
Leon storms out and Columbo follows, indicating to a colleague to join them.
He does. I mean, he's looking for the reaction as he was with Nancy. So when he reveals this news to Leon, he sees Leon's bidding his concentration being disrupted, and he knows that he's got him here.
Well, you would expect his concentration would be disrupted either way, but yeah. The reaction's not a good one from Leon.
No. Columbo follows with another detective who is carrying a box.
Yep, Jack Stroller.
And they go to this private room where Columbo explains what happened to Freddy.
Columbo presses him for an alibi.
Yes, this angers him at first, but he eventually says he was at home all night.
Columbo recalls going to the party, seeing him there, but he doesn't know where he was. He mentions 7 o'clock,
Yeah.
suggesting that the time of death isn't what was faked.
Yep. The box is then opened and Columbo produces Leon's Halloween costume, complete with medallion that he wore around his neck.
Yep, and they take a look at some photographs.
Yep, which show what?
That's the chimp with various different people.
In Freddy's studio.
Yeah, and Leon denies having any memory of when he was last at Freddy's studio, and Columbo immediately says that's a lie.
Yes, which is quite forceful. You don't hear Columbo call the killer a liar too many times.
We saw in the last time he had a chat with Leon, he's not got any more time for this guy. He's not prepared to listen to any of his nonsense.
So he produces a blow-up of a fingerprint, and he says this can place Leon at Freddy's studio on the evening of the murder. Now, Leon initially laughed this off.
Well, he knows he was wearing gloves and there can't be any fingerprints.
But Columbo continues.
That's a blow-up of a fingerprint that was made at Freddy's studio, and I'm afraid, sir, it places you there on the night of his death.
I'm afraid you're a fool, Lieutenant. I've been to Freddy's many times. I'm not surprised you find my fingerprint there, but I am surprised you try to use that print to place me there the night of his death.
Where'd you get that idea? About the fingerprint? That's not your fingerprint. That's the chimp's. And I didn't find that fingerprint on Freddy's doorknob. And I didn't find it on his refrigerator. And I didn't find it on his sink. But on this medallion, which was hanging around your neck. We know the chimp was in the studio on the night of the murder. Now we know you were there.
Columbo is quite pleased with himself, I think.
It should be.
It's a great piece of evidence.
Mm-hmm. He then plays his master card, or his master stroke.
Yeah, it's a big stroke.
Yeah. He brings in Nancy, who has apparently been very cooperative with the police. And he's got some good news and bad news for her.
Well, she takes the bad news first.
Which is?
That Leon killed her ex-husband and is going to prison.
And the good news?
She's getting all the money because she's still married to, or was still married.
Brilliant. I mean, she can't, at this point, believe that Leon is just going to keep his mouth shut. And
no, but yeah, I don't think she knows how to react. But when Leon hears this, he has no alternative.
Oh, he immediately reveals her input into the dastardly deed.
And she's, well, shall we say, she doesn't take it very well indeed.
No, you wouldn't.
She takes it very badly, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to jail for this.
Yeah, she absolutely goes berserk.
Yeah.
I would say that she's getting convicted for murder. Well, I would say if it were the season finale.
Okay, we'll leave it there. So they both get led away.
That's it.
And we have a little final dialogue.
That's unusual. We had it with the one where he had to explain the knickers.
Yeah.
But I don't remember many of these sort of little closing. I didn't even understand this one.
It's just, he, rather than spending, I think my understanding was that that this whole episode, as we've mentioned before, is about greed and money.
Yeah.
And he says at the end, you know what? I'm not going to spend, the gifts aren't an important thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend some more time with the wife. Maybe give the old car a paint job.
I think, Jack notes that it's Columbo's car that's getting the treatment, not his wife's.
Yeah. So I think it's a sort of counterpoint, a balance to the horrible greed and materialism that we've had in the episode, that Columbo's, the show is nodding to, what's more important in life.
Yeah. And the closing credits, you get a Muzak version of this old man, which I thought was quite nice.
And that's us.
Yeah.
So I think, as we said at the top of the show, enjoyable.
Very nice episode.
Riddled with plot holes and things that,
Yeah, I mean, but you can turn a blind eye if you choose to, because the show's an enjoyable one.
And it's aided by Rip Torn, who we've not mentioned.
That's right.
He was born in 1931. Now, he's one of these actors that, for me, I've seen him in so many things, but if you ask me, so what's your favourite Rip Torn movie? I probably couldn't name one.
I'd name one.
What is it?
Dodgeball.
Yeah, huh? Yep. See, I forgot he was in that.
5 Ds of Dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Okay. He was also in Men in Black, I think a few of those.
All of them?
Yep. 30 Rock, The Larry Sanders Show, which was, I think he was very highly regarded in that. The Cincinnati Kid, Naked City, which we've discussed before.
We have.
Cross Creek, for which he had an Oscar nomination in 1984. He has been nominated for a Primetime Emmy 9 times, and he has won once. A few interesting things. Maybe this is something that can go in your show notes. He was accused of breaking into a bank with a gun in 2010.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the story?
You tell us.
I'll look it up.
Mm-hmm. He has played 3 American presidents. Don't ask me which ones.
Which ones?
Don't know. He was previously married to Geraldine Page, and apparently he won nearly $500,000 from Dennis Hopper for something slanderous he said on the Jay Leno show, Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Interesting.
Yeah. Back in the 60s, he had a dinner with Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper, and he was to play Jack Nicholson's role in Easy Rider.
Okay.
But during this meal, the story goes that he pulled a knife on Hopper and threatened him.
Right.
This is Hopper's version of the story.
Okay.
And Hopper over the years has kept reciting this. And after he got his role in the Larry Sanders Show, it was a bit of a renaissance for his career.
Yep.
He was fed up. He thought this might be threatened because Hollywood would see him as a liability, an unstable person who couldn't be trusted.
Sure.
So Hopper in the 90s was on the Jay Leno show, repeated this story, and Rip Torn decided enough's enough and took him to court about it, apparently, and won $500,000.
So does that mean he didn't do it, or that Hopper couldn't prove he did it?
Well, Torn's story is that it was the opposite. It was Hopper who pulled a knife on Peter Fonda, and he simply wrestled the knife away from him.
What does Fonda say?
Don't know.
Just ask him.
Yeah, try.
I've got a bit of trivia.
Okay.
The chimp in this episode, I wanted to know more about him, so I contacted the company that provided him to Columbo.
You've got too much time in your hands, Ian. Okay.
And they didn't have a lot of detail, but they confirmed that it was a male chimp. Mm-hmm. His name actually was Joe, the same as it is in the show.
Yeah.
And that was all they could really tell
Well,
me.
I think they said that they would look into it a little bit more and get back to us if they could furnish us with anything else.
They did. I asked a few specific questions, so if they can come back to me on that, I will add it to the show notes.
Did you ask if he's still alive or when he died?
No, I asked if he was in anything else.
Yeah, you should have asked that.
Suppose we do.
When was he born? What age was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have tried. You could have given me this information. I'd have done it in my guest stars.
Well, that was what I was hoping for, but anyway, if we get anything, I'll refer to it in the show notes.
Look forward to it. The only piece of additional trivia I have is that the brand of champagne used in this episode was the same as that used in Murder of a Rock Star. Okay. Episode review.
Okay.
Motive.
Greed.
Pure and simple. Financial gain. Alibi. Okay, so we've got the broken watch, the party, and Nancy's call.
The phone call's the key one, isn't it?
Yeah. Clues. No particular order. Fake watch. The klepto chimp. No fancy dress costume. The non-signing of the divorce decree. The case of champagne been purchased. The phone calls made from Freddie to Leon. The potential car, the imminent car purchase. The aperture numbers on the camera. Anything else?
Did you mention the case of champagne?
Yeah, champagne.
Yeah. That was the key ones, wasn't it?
Yep. Gotcha.
Well, did you say the bath oil? Sorry.
No, I don't really think that was much of a clue, to be honest. It's a bit... I didn't like it.
The overacting was the key one, I think, that put him in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
That was a good gotcha.
The chimp fingerprint and then Nancy's confession.
Yes.
We can discuss more.
Well, it wasn't Nancy's confession. It was Leon blaming Nancy.
Yeah, but then Nancy has come in at the end and...
It was him that said she did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a confession, more of a fingering.
Mentioned at the start, next week, No Time to Die.
Right. So, I'll find time for that one.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it'll be as bad as you said.
We'll find out. The whole purpose of this show is for you to find out.
Yeah. So please, people, don't tweet me spoilers.
No.
By the time you hear this, I'll have seen it, so it doesn't matter.
That's us.
Yeah, just the usual. We have talked about doing a Q&A episode in the future. We've had a couple of folk get in touch, but if you send us messages, Twitter, Facebook, columbopodcast.com, and iTunes reviews, we'll prioritise those if they're accompanied by 5 stars. And we will look to address questions in an upcoming episode if we get enough interest. As usual, if you want to leave reviews, ratings, subscribe on iTunes, it helps other people find the podcast, which we really appreciate. And we love hearing from you on columbopodcast.com and via social media. So please keep that going. And we will see you next week.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Columbo podcast from Heard Yet Media.